and welcome to Your Coaching Journey, a podcast for doctors about coaching. Whether you're a coaching doctor, a doctor who is learning to coach, or a doctor who would like to build coaching into your professional life, then this is the podcast for you.
Hello, I'm Tom Dillon, and with me today is my co-host and business partner, Helen Leathers. Hi, Helen. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderfully well. Couldn't be better.
Fabulous.
I'm going to go back to being wonderfully well and, things being marvellous.
Good.
It feels better.
Good.
Yeah. It's a bit like that high five thing that people talk about.
Oh, that's
that
thing.
doing the high five in the mirror in the morning.
Yeah.
Makes you smile. I don't do it. I don't do it, but it does make you smile if you do it. Try it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't do it. It's
You
one of those
need
things.
to be fair.
I don't. To be fair, I mean, I know I'm a little bit grumpy in the morning. Like when I look in the mirror in the morning, I see this old man, and I think, oh, dear, I don't think I look like that. But it's fine.
Good.
I get over myself.
Good. And then you become marvellous.
I could become. By the time I'm ready for a podcast, I am on top of the world.
Excellent.
Good.
So, marvellous. What are we talking about today then?
Today we are talking about the difference in coaching between easy change and hard change.
Okay.
I think it's something useful for coaches to understand.
So, coaching is about change. It lies at the heart, really, of transformational coaching.
Yes. So transformational coaching, that's important.
Yes.
So all change lies at the heart of transformational coaching.
All change.
Yeah.
As opposed to just some change.
Well, so not all change is equal, is it? So let's think about this. If you had just ever learnt to coach using the GROW model, for example, you'd only ever be able to cope with easy change.
Right.
You couldn't do hard change with the GROW model.
Probably not.
Oh, no. You steer away from the hard change. You go, what's your goal? And they tell you, and you'd say, and what's current reality? And they'd tell you, and you say, what options have you got? And they'd tell you, and you go, and what are you going to do? And they'd tell you, and they'd go off and do it. That's easy change, isn't it?
You've become like the Anton Dubek of the coaching world.
In what way, Anton Dubek? My marvellous dancing skills.
Well, yes, but also it's just the way you described that. It was very Anton Dubek.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. No, he's a lovely man. If I don't mind being compared to Anton Dubek.
I get where you're coming from, though. So what you're saying is not just that change lies at the heart of all transformational coaching, but that all types of change lie at the heart of transformational coaching. Some of it easy, some of it hard. And that's what we're going to explore today.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure I quite followed that. But yes, Helen, that's exactly what we do.
It made sense to me.
Okay.
So what is the difference, would you say, between easy change and hard change?
Well, easy change is easy. Hard change is hard. There you are, done.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. Seriously, though. Oh, we're going to get the giggles now, aren't we? Sometimes we can decide to make a change and it can feel almost effortless.
Yes.
We just decide to make a change.
Yeah.
Off we go and we just do it. And then other times we feel like we're really struggling to bring about any change at all.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of, I love playing tennis and it's quite a good analogy, actually. So I love playing tennis. So that's very easy for me. I don't have to think about that. I mean, sometimes when I'm sat on the couch and I've got a game coming up, I think, I've got to get up now and go play. But it's never I'm not going to go. I'm always going to go because I love my tennis. Now, I've had a shoulder injury that caused me pain. If I played a top spin backhand. Yeah, so I have a one-handed backhand, and if I played a top spin, it meant my arm flew up in the air and jarred at my shoulder, and it was causing me a lot of pain. So I had four options. I could stop playing tennis for a while, let my shoulder recover, but I had no idea how long that was going to take, and I was loving my tennis. I didn't want to do that. I could carry on playing the same shot and just put up with the pain and potentially ruin my shoulder even more. And I didn't really want to cause more damage to my shoulder. I could develop my backhand slice because the action of a backhand slice doesn't seem to trouble my shoulder. So I could do that. Or I could switch to a double-handed backhand, which tends to put all the pressure on your left arm rather than your right arm. So that was another option. So and I kind of explored, well, I didn't really consider giving up tennis, but the other three...
I noticed my suggestion of seeing a physiotherapist and, getting it treated didn't make it into your options list.
No.
Do carry on.
So I...
That's what happens when we make suggestions.
Yeah. I go, thanks for this suggestion. I'm going to do what I want. Thank you. That's why we don't do it in coaching.
Yeah.
So the two options that I explored was developing my backhand slice and using that consistently. And I had a couple of lessons switching to a double-handed backhand. Oh, it was rubbish. So what I did in the end was I opted for an easy change, which was the backhand slice. And that's what I tend to play now, a backhand slice. Although now, working with the new coach, I've developed the idea of running around the backhand. So I actually play a forehand. So it's coming towards my backhand, but rather than taking it on my backhand, I run around it.
Okay.
And hit a forehand, which is great. So, whilst it was easy change, but I still, have a growth mindset. So I'm still working on it. It's not like I've just taken the easy option and I'm,
avoiding the hard.
I did avoid the hard. I did.
You did.
And the double-handed backhand would have been hard, but it would have affected my game whilst I was practicing it. Whereas my slice, this is very boring for people that aren't interested in tennis, but making the point that I chose the easy option, but for good reason. And
that might be the case that we want to do sometimes.
That would be very easy to coach me around, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
People go, well, what are you going to choose? I go, well, I'll do the top. Yeah.
I could even use the grow model.
You could use the grow model for that. Yeah.
Yeah, if I wanted.
So sometimes easy change is exactly what we're looking for. And that's what we're going to be doing in the coaching room.
So what is it, do you think, that makes easy change easy?
So when we talk about easy change, typically it's kind of stuff that requires very little emotional and psychological effort. There's not much of a shift there required in order to... It might take a bit of change of perspective, but it is really that grow model. What options have you got? Which one are you going to choose? So it's where the desired outcome aligns closely with perhaps our existing habits, our values, our mindsets. It's like a natural evolution rather than a revolution.
I like that. Or a revelation.
I just thought about that. You've got Hamilton in your head now, haven't you? I'm looking for a revolution, not a revelation. Yeah.
So just thinking about this, it could be something like adopting a new fitness routine after realising how much you enjoy running. It's a change that feels good, doesn't require a huge amount of internal kind of conflict, or it's maybe driven by that intrinsic motivation. And you're not going to be fighting those big barriers to make the change.
Yeah, and I think what's important to say is, and you use the grow model a bit disparagingly, but there are times when that's exactly what's called for. And anyone can do that. That's easy. So someone having done some basic coaching training can do that. It's smooth, almost effortless. But there's no real shift, I guess, is the difference. So it's not transformational in that sense.
Yeah. So what about hard change then? How are we defining hard change?
So I think hard change is something entirely different. It's the kind of change that is more of a battle. So it's difficult. It takes a lot of emotional and mental energy, often requires us coming face to face with deeply ingrained patterns, beliefs, fears, that, those limiting beliefs we might have. So it's that shift that you might feel like you're trying to move a mountain, and it's not just about changing a behavior. It's transforming the way we see ourselves and how we relate to the world around us. So it could involve overcoming deep-seated fears, unlearning healthy habits, changing a deeply held belief system, saying goodbye to a way of living or to the people we live with.
Wow.
Could be that big, couldn't it?
It could be huge. Yeah.
That could be what comes into the coaching room. Someone saying, I want to change the way I live.
Yeah. So it's very much identity, mindset, those limiting beliefs. It sounds as though transformational coaching comes into its own at this point then.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, if you've kind of learned how to use the GROW model and maybe done things like solution-focused coaching and motivational interviewing, they're great basic forms of coaching that will allow you to have a good coaching conversation. And people will probably go away from them going, oh yeah, I'll go away and do this. Great. And I quite often hear, so solution-focused therapy starts off as brief therapy. And so solution-based coaching and motivational interviewing, I quite often hear people, exponents of those two methods, saying, well, I can just have one session with someone. All sorted. Job's a good one. What I think happens is the coach thinks, well, that's all sorted. They're going to go and they're going to do what they just committed to doing. Now, what we know is that people don't do that. They go away and they forget, or they
do it if it's the easy change, right?
Yes. So they do it this easy change. But there's a lot of people that are having that sort of coaching, those sorts of conversations, that go away and don't make the change they said they were going to make, because it's hard change.
Because it's the hard change.
And we won't know if we're just doing a solution focused or motivational interviewing session, we won't have dug deep enough to know whether it's going to be easy change or it's going to be hard change, because it's going to be different for different people. So easy change for one person is hard change for another, because they've got some emotional stuff, some psychological stuff that's getting in the way. And I've listened to a lot of demonstrations of different techniques, and I've never come across a solution-focused demonstration or a motivational interviewing demonstration where I've thought, yeah, something shifted there. It's always, okay, what are you going to do? Yeah, okay, off you go. Thanks, bye. So Now, we use solution-focused coaching on our training program as one of the introductory models of coaching. Because it's useful, because, Occam's razor, sometimes the simplest answer is the best answer. So sometimes that's all we need to do.
Yeah.
And when we look at a cognitive behavioral approach, it's a twin track approach. So some of it is the behavioral. Okay, go away and do this, and that might work. So we don't have to do anything else. But then we have the cognitive bit that, okay, you've gone away, you've tried that, or you haven't done that. Why is that? Let's look at the cognitive. Let's look at the emotional. Let's look at everything else.
So why do you think it is that some changes feel easy while others feel like they're incredibly hard?
Well, I do think it does come back down to whether it's well aligned to what's going on for the person in their life at the moment. So I think if the change, it's weird, isn't it? Because I would say that if the change is aligned to your values and aligned to your sense of purpose, it should be easy change for you. But in saying that out loud, I'm realizing that it could be that by following your path, you're going to upset everyone around you.
Yeah. And thinking about personal situations this year, timing, environment, there's other things that will be impacting whether or not you can take that action. So for me, I wanted to lose some weight earlier in the year. Couldn't get my head into gear with it. And then one day I just went, right, that's it. And was able to, eat more healthily and take the actions that I needed to take to start doing that. The timing there had to be right because of other things that were going on in my life. So it became easier, where 2 weeks prior it had been hard.
Yes. And some of that is going to be contextual, isn't it? So, so for reasons we won't go into it. So some of the time you weren't at home, so you were living away and having to, you were mixing with other people who were having different ways of living. So some ways you conform to what's going on around you, don't you?
Yeah.
So now you're back in your home base, you can decide what happens and
how I use
take control of it a bit more easily.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think also thinking about some of the work that I've done with clients, if you're under-resourced, so I always say, you can't change the world if you're exhausted, but you can't change yourself if you're exhausted either. So there's that idea that maybe some of the inner resources need to be in place before change can happen, or before easier change can happen.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about big changes. So obviously a lot of our doctors that come on our training program, a lot of them want to make a change to their working patterns, but they've been used to those working patterns for a long time. And quite often they will have ended up in the roles they're in because they like the security, they like the certainty of those roles, and have carried on doing them because it doesn't upset the status quo. So I think we have to acknowledge that making big changes, maybe it's not even a big change, but something that's going to upset the status quo. So someone perhaps dropping a day of work in their normal role to do something different feels like a huge change because they've always worked full time. So that it's not for us as coaches to dictate whether it's an easy change or a hard change. What looks on the surface like easy change could be really hard for someone because they've got these ingrained ways of being or limiting beliefs, sets of values. So for a lot of our doctors, they have a commitment to the NHS, a loyalty to the NHS. If they were considering, let's say they were considering going off and doing private work, working for a private health company, that could really conflict with their values and could be a really hard change for them to make because they've been conditioned to be loyal to the NHS and to support the NHS. And, all credit to them for doing
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you.
But it could be that's what's getting in the way of them living the life they want to live.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I think when a change taps into our values, our strengths, it doesn't feel like a chore. And it can feel empowering, in fact, because we're utilising the things that we're good at, the things we feel passionate about. But when change is in opposition to our values and our beliefs, it just becomes so much harder. So let's think about someone who's been through a series of career changes, but is deeply rooted in the belief that stability is the most important thing. Making a career change after that might feel like they're going against everything they've ever known.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying, isn't it, really? That the NHS is full of people that have made that choice to have a career in the NHS and thinking of leaving the NHS or just having a portfolio career with some outside work can feel like a big shift.
Yeah. Especially as we see quite often people who've got doctors in their family and they're another generation of doctors and all working in the National Health Service and everything that comes with that.
Yeah. And so and that's where I think emotional resistance to change comes in. So the harder the change, the more likely we encounter some internal conflict. So maybe some ambivalence, some cognitive dissonance that occurs where, maybe the actions we're thinking of taking go against core beliefs that we've held. So that's a really high barrier to overcome. But within the coaching room, we can actually stop to think about values that people have and where do those values come from? And are they actual values or are they just learned ways of being that we've taken on from other people? So to actually stop and think, well, what do I believe and what are my values? So that I think that's important work to do.
And to recognise those barriers as well, not just telling them what to do, but to explore those thoughts, explore those barriers, explore those unconscious beliefs that might be holding them back. Because, sometimes those beliefs are really deeply rooted.
Yeah. And this is where I think if you were taking a very simplistic solution-focused approach to it, you wouldn't get to those beliefs, really. You wouldn't uncover those. So I think it's really helpful to dig a bit deeper. So another factor that might come into this is the level of control we have over the situation. So you've said about your experience of being away from home. I think the more control and sense of agency we have, or the coachee has, the easier the change tends to be. So a bit like, when we say, if you tell a coachee what to do,
Yeah.
the chances are they're not going to do it because that's not their choice. It's not their decision. So they might actually resent you making those suggestions. So if people feel like the change is being forced upon them, so maybe some external change in work patterns, things like that, again, that's harder for them to accept and harder to take to.
Yeah, that external versus internal control is really key, isn't it? And when we feel like we've got the power to choose our change and that it's something we're actively deciding to do, that's empowering. But when we feel like it's been forced on us, it becomes burdensome, and I guess that's when it becomes really hard.
Yeah. So now we've explored the differences. That's taken quite a while to explore the differences between easy change and hard change.
But it's important.
Let's think about how, as a coach, we can support our coachees in considering hard change. And I think one of the first things to think about is creating a safe space so they're able to explore fears, doubts, their values, their beliefs in a way that's they know they're not going to be judged. So we're sitting there without judgment, listening to what's being said.
Yeah, absolutely. That space where they feel really heard, really understood. And I think hard change often involves confronting some really uncomfortable truths. And we do need to make sure that our coachees know they're not alone in the process. And we can validate their experience before we help them to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something else that we have to accept in big change is the loss of the status quo. So if it is about other people, maybe giving up where they're living or giving up a relationship, there is going to be a sense of loss. So that's a lovely quote by Richard Bach, the author who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, who says that in order to live free and happily, we have to sacrifice boredom. And it's not always an easy sacrifice. It's funny, isn't it? I read his book. It comes from Illusions, and I read that in my 20s. And that phrase has stuck with me. And it isn't always easy, is it, to kind of walk away from what you know. And I'm not suggesting everyone should walk away from what they know, but sometimes that sacrifice of boredom is difficult. So the status quo definitely is, we come across lots of people who moan about their situation. And when you say, what would you like to have happen? They haven't even thought about that. They just want to moan about the situation.
Yeah. And stuck in that. Stuck in that.
So, but understanding what will be lost, acknowledging that sense of loss and allowing for some grief, I think, to emerge is important. Yeah. Recognizing they're losing something. So lovely set of questions that comes to mind around that is something called the Cartesian coordinates. I have no idea why they were ever given that name because it comes from Descartes and he's used in maths. So there's a maths kind of equation that you can do.
Sounds mathsy.
Yeah, it is. So, but I don't know. Someone's given it this name. But basically it breaks the situation down to say, okay, if you make this choice, what will you have? So get to think about that. And in making this choice, what will you not have? And if you don't choose that, what will you have? And if you don't choose that, what will you not have? So those 4 different questions sound very familiar, similar. Yeah. And you could say, well, it's the same question, you're just asking in different ways. But it covers all the bases. So
how many times in coaching, though, do we ask a similar question to cover similar ground, just in different ways?
Yeah. But I think that they are all very different questions. And they cover, and this is probably why. I think the Cartesian coordinate maths thing is like a cross and the different segments. So that's probably why, because it's 4 segments, 4 quadrants. But it does cover all bases. So a bit like a pros and cons list, but actually gets people to think it through and talk it through rather than just going, what's the pros, what are the cons? But similar sort of thing. So I think helping them to cover all angles, to think about the consequences of changes they're going to make and actually give them time to come to terms with what they would be giving up.
Yeah, a letting go process.
We're going to do a podcast about it at some point. I just need to get my head around it. There's a concept called Theory U by Otto Scharmer, and it's like a U-shaped curve, but it's all about, on the downslope of the U, it's all about letting go in order to let come.
Oh.
So you've got to create that space in order to let new things come, but you've got to give things up. Cartesian coordinates, good way. I mean, breaking things down into smaller actions can be good in terms of taking that hard change, but maybe making it simpler, maybe experimenting with things, trying things out.
Making it less overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's solution focused very much, isn't it? Breaking things down.
Yeah. I think what solution focused ignores often is the emotional and psychological barriers.
Yeah. And talking of those, it's about addressing mindset as well, isn't it? Reframing thoughts around maybe potential failures, maybe setbacks. What will you do if? And many people view failure as the end of a journey, and actually it can be part of a process, can't it? So helping them to understand that setbacks are an opportunity for learning, for growth, and understanding that can make a big difference in garnering the energy to push forward and to make progress, I think.
Yeah. Sort of go back to this like emotional and psychological barriers. And where we differ in our training is that we will look at more coaching approaches that will address the psychological and emotional barriers that prevent people making hard change. So something like the Gestalt approach really gets people to get in touch with who they are and to become more who they are, which then makes the hard change easier. And things like cognitive behavioral coaching can say we've got that twin track. So we've got maybe the easy change in the behavioral stuff, but then looking at the cognitive, the limiting beliefs, addressing those. And obviously some positive psychology stuff as well will help with that. So I think what we're saying is that easy change is fine within coaching, and you probably pick any coach to help you with some easy change. That's not going to be difficult to do. But if you're looking at hard change, transformational coaching is probably the place you want to be looking for your coaching, because the coach is going to help you identify what's getting in your way. So when you go off and say, right, I'm going to make a change, and then you come back weeks later and go, yeah, I haven't actually done anything that I said I was going to do. But actually for someone that's going to be able to sit with you and talk through what's getting in the way, what are those emotional and psychological barriers that are preventing hard change to happening, I think can be really good.
Okay, I think this has been really interesting. It's highlighted quite the complexity around change and how it's important to meet our coachees where they are, whether it's easy or hard. We all have the potential to create meaningful shifts in our life, I believe.
We all have the potential, but I think there is something about transformational coaching that facilitates that change.
Yeah, absolutely.
A shift in people that makes the hard change easier, not necessarily easy, but brings it about.
Yeah. Absolutely. So thank you for that. It's been absolutely fascinating deep dive into the topic. Who knew there was so much to say?
Well, as always, we start off thinking it's going to be 20 minutes. It ends up being 30 minutes. No idea how that happens, but it's been a rich conversation anyway. So thank you, Helen.
Thank you. And thank you to our listeners. So whether you're in the middle of easy or hard change.
Yes. Whether you're in the middle of easy or hard change, do subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Do recommend it to other people that you know that will have an interest in coaching. And we will see you next time when we will be discussing... What are we discussing, Helen?
Critical thinking?
Critical thinking, you're right.
Let's do that. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.